In the current jumping event in NADMO, you can choose between 4 SSS plus Digimons. So in this video, I'll be talking about each of them in details to help you choose which one of the SSS pluses you wanna go for. So let's get right into it. And we're gonna start with the one you shouldn't pick, the least good SSS plus here, which is Zed Millenniummon. Mainly for two reasons. First, and probably the most important part, he is with Lucemon Awaken. If you are gonna pick a Virus Darkness, there is no reason to pick the inferior Zed Millenniummon instead of Lucemon Awaken. Not only that, but honestly his biggest downside is his base critical rate. He has a really low critical rate, which means he straight up can't do, or it's gonna be very hard to do harder content with him. Stuff like Colosseum Hero Mode or MDG or any of the in-game dungeon, you straight up probably can't do it with him because he just doesn't have enough crit rate for it, or will require an insane amount of investment to reach the amount of critical rate required compared to Lucemon Awaken. So yeah, there's just no reason to go for Zed. In terms of damage wise, when he can crit, he actually deals higher damage than Lucemon Awaken in my experience. Without Extreme Evolution, he was doing similar damage to Lucemon with Extreme Evolution. So you give him Extreme Evolution, even though it gives only 15% damage, he's still gonna be do similar if not higher damage than Lucemon Awaken. However, the big deal breaker here is that just not as strong as Lucemon Awaken. Lucemon Awaken just does similar damage but doesn't have any of the issues that Zed have. So honestly, Zed is probably the one you should never pick. I don't see any reason to pick him over Lucemon Awaken, with the exception that you already have another Virus SSS plus, or you already have Lucemon Awaken. Then yeah, just pick him if you have something better. Next is my favorite Digimon, Shoutmon Cross 7, but unfortunately he's just not that good. So Cross 7 also have basically the same problem as Zed, and that is low critical rate. Now he is a data Digimon. Historically they haven't been the best Digimons. However, with the release of Shoutmon Dungeon, it actually adds a good argument for data Digimons. However, it's still a nerf. So basically, if the data Digimon can do Shoutmon, then it's actually good that he's data Digimon. But if he's not able to do Shoutmon Dungeon, then it's a nerf that the Digimon is the data. So that's kind of the case with Cross 7. Despite being a data Digimon that should potentially be able to do Shoutmon Dungeon, the lack of critical rate just makes him not even a viable option in there. And because his data is not even favorable in other content, in other like easier dungeon, like Royal Base, like the Holy Beast dungeons, even Colo normal mode have virus last bosses, so he's just not that good. And even then, his stats are not that high. It's actually not that much higher than Fangirl Awaken, which is a SSS rank, so he's also not that great. He's kinda comparable to a SSS rank. So overall, Shoutmon Cross 7 is just not a very good Digimon. I don't recommend getting him, with two exceptions. The only time you should get Shoutmon Cross 7 is either you are going for Cross 7 Superior Mode, then obviously getting him makes it easier to unlock Superior Mode, but obviously assuming you have a way of actually getting Superior Mode, or you happen to have other SSS plus Digimons, including Darkness Bagramon, and I would say a good Vaccine SSS plus, then I would say maybe go for Cross 7 so you can unlock the big buff. So if you happen to have Darkness Bagra and then another SSS plus Vaccine, then going for Cross 7 might be a good thing so you unlock the big buff. If not, I don't think it's worth it. If you only have Darkness Bagramon, I don't know if he's worth getting just for the deck buff over getting a good Vaccine Digimon. So yeah, this is my opinion on if you should pick Cross 7 or not. Basically, only pick him if you already have Darkness Bagra and or you already have another good SSS plus. But other than that, he's just really not worth picking. So yeah, next is gonna be honestly somewhat hard between Lucemon Awaken and Alphamon Ouryuken Awaken. They are the main two that you should pick. Honestly, if you don't have any other SSS plus, I don't think you can go wrong with either of them. I am leaning a bit more towards AOA, but yeah, let's start with Lucemon Awaken. So Lucemon Awaken does have decent stats. Currently it has the highest critical rate out of all the 4 SSS pluses, which means he will reach the stat requirements for harder dungeon much easier, stuff like Colosseum Hard Mode. But the main problem that he can't do stuff like Shoutmon Dungeon or even Royal Base. He can do Royal Base hard, but I don't know if that's gonna be the best Digimon to use there. He can reach the crit requirement, but it's gonna be a bit harder. You won't have this advantage, but you won't have advantage either, so his damage is not gonna be that high. So that's kinda the main reason I have him lower than AOA, is that you're probably not gonna be able to do Shoutmon Dungeon like ever with just Lucemon Awaken. Royal Base hard is a little bit sus to do it there. MDG attribute doesn't matter, so it's all about reaching the hit, crit, and even the HP requirement, which he technically should be able to reach easier than AOA, but in easier content where it doesn't have as high crit requirements. Stuff like Colosseum Hero Mode is gonna be easier to do with Lucemon Awaken because it have higher crit rate, but also because he's burst mode, which means he can use strong memory skills, so he have better survivability. but I don't know if Virus Digimons are in the best spot right now, because outside of Holy Beast Dungeon, we don't have that many favorable content for them. Now, in terms of DPS, he deals, as I said, in my experience, he deals somewhat similar damage to Zed with Extreme Evolution, which is high, not low, but like, it's also not that higher compared to Lucemon Awaken. So that's kind of thing which makes me kind of iffy with Lucemon Awaken, is that DPS wise, it's not that much higher than Lucemon Awaken. So yeah, it only matters, only difference between him and a Triple S is higher HP. So if you can make use of the higher HP, he's worth it. But if you don't care about the HP, if you're only gonna be using him for like the Holy Beast dungeons, like UDG, like BDG, even Fanglongmon dungeon, I don't think it will matter that much, because you just rush those dungeons and don't care that much about taking damage. But if you're gonna use him for like Colo, then yeah, his HP, his high HP is gonna be relevant. So yeah, this is Lucemon Awaken. I don't think you can go that wrong with him. I think he's solid. Just keep in mind that there are certain content that he's not gonna be able to do. So if we get the jumping event again, then it's not gonna matter as much. If not, if he's gonna be the only Triple S plus that you have for the unforeseeable future, he might not be the best option. And finally, we have AOA. I don't think he's that much better than Lucemon Awaken. This is just a personal opinion, but AOA, in my experience, actually turns out to be decent. He's the first Triple S plus I got, and I kinda benched him after a while, but recently I got him out to try him to see how good he is right now, and honestly I was kinda surprised. So apparently when they added the Triple S plus passives, he actually got a secret buff. They improved his SB, or so I've heard, and in my experience it seems that he's doing somewhat similar damage to Shoutmon Awaken. So Shoutmon Awaken was the previous vaccine Triple S plus that was given away in like all the other jumping events, but this event he have been replaced by Alphamon Ouryuken Awaken, and to be honest, he's not that far behind. He deals less damage but have higher HP. So all this to say, you probably can do the same content as Shoutmon. Obviously I would say Shoutmon Awaken is still stronger, but if you don't have Shoutmon Awaken, he is a fine alternative. His DPS seems to be fine. His critical rate is not as high as Lucemon Awaken, and it's slightly higher than Shoutmon. So again, Shoutmon is overall better, but obviously if you are a jumping tamer who don't have Shoutmon, then he's gonna be your best option here. If you already have Shoutmon, then obviously there's no reason to pick him like ever, and he's a decent bit stronger than the other Triple S alternatives. He's much stronger than Alphamon Ouryuken X. He's much stronger than Saint Galgomon. So he is a solid upgrade over any Triple S in both damage and HP. So yeah, honestly, it's between Lucemon Awaken or AOA. If I was a jumping tamer and had no Triple S plus whatsoever, I would probably pick AOA just because vaccine, meaning you can eventually do Shoutmon dungeon. It's gonna be hard, but you can eventually do it. Real Beast normal is still a somewhat solid way of making Terra. Real Beast hard also should be doable with AOA. Colosseum normal mode also should be doable with AOA as well, and hero mode as well eventually. So yeah, this is just my opinion obviously, so let me know in the comments which one you're gonna pick, and if you have any more questions, leave them down in the comments. And yeah, with that, thank you very much for watching. I hope the video was helpful, and if you thought that it was helpful, leave a like on the video and subscribe for more DMO content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.